All right, let's look at this hypothesis. What do you think it is? Is it qualitative or is it quantitative? Are we looking at numbers here? Or are we looking at meaning and understanding why people got pregnant and what it means to be pregnant to a teenager? Well, the answer is this hypothesis is really quantitative. Plus, the other key here is that we don't have hypotheses in qualitative research. We'll have research questions, but not hypotheses. Does this hypothesis look prospective or retrospective? It's prospective. Now, is this cross-sectional or longitudinal? Are we collecting data once, or are we collecting data a number of times? Well, we could go either way. We could provide the intervention and then look at them 6 months later and see how many are pregnant and how many are not. Or we could do the intervention and then follow these group of young women over the next 2 years and collect data periodically. So it could be either one. Okay, sampling and selection. We're looking at control here, trying to define the sample in such a way that outside influences are at a minimum. And we're going to use a sampling technique called convenience. Anybody we can get to be in this study, we're going to let them in as long as they meet the criteria. Inclusion criteria. Who's going to be in it? We're going to have 15 to 18-year-old females living within a 2-mile radius of the GM Community Center and attending Northwest High School. Typically, this is what you're going to see in an article. You'll see inclusion criteria. You won't always see exclusion criteria, which for this one, we're going to say females who have been pregnant before, we're not going to let them in this study. And females who are diagnosed with a mental or emotional disorders, they are also going to be excluded from this study. All right, data collection. That's looking at not only what do you do, how do you collect the data, but what instruments do you use. Okay, parents of female students attending Northwest High, first we approach them at the beginning of the school year during open house. We explain the study to them, and we get informed consent. Remember, we're talking about minors. The parents have to give the permission. The students themselves cannot. Next, information about the community center and the empowerment program is distributed to all the female students during homeroom through posters in the girls' bathrooms and information available in the wellness center and the nurse's office. Data about the pregnancy status is attained through questionnaires distributed every month by one of the researchers in homeroom. So what are the extraneous variables here? Well, could be race. People of color could react very differently to your intervention than Caucasian people. You don't know. Marital status of the student's parents. Was her mother ever married? Is she currently married? It may make a difference. Financial status may make a difference. And then participation in sports, music, church, or other extracurricular activities may make a difference as well. Perhaps you're seeing people who come to the community center do so because they are not involved in sports, music, or church activities. And we don't know. So these, at this point, are not taken into account in the research design, and they might make a difference in your outcome. Okay, internal validity. Remember, these are things that threaten the accuracy of the findings. They threaten your ability to say, my intervention made a difference. So the first one, history. A popular teen idol gets pregnant. That may make a difference. Maturation. If the project continues over a number of years, the participants are going to be growing up. They may develop problem-solving and coping skills, and their sense of responsibility may increase. So this all has implications for whether they get pregnant or not. Testing. Being asked about teen pregnancy and motherhood may make the participants more reliable in their use of contraception. It may decrease the tendency to believe it can't happen to me. Instrumentation, reliability of measures. Well, again, this looks at, did we use the instruments correctly? Did we follow the procedures? At the end of the day, are the researchers too tired to do this correctly? And this one really doesn't apply to this study very much. Mortality, loss of subjects as the study goes on. Well, perhaps those who are not going to the community center don't value the research as much as those who do, and they stop completing the monthly questionnaires. Also, perhaps the people who drop out of the study have dropped out of school. You don't know what happened to them. Maybe they dropped out because they got pregnant. You don't know. And selection bias. Those who choose to participate may be significantly different than those who don't. This is a huge problem with this study. Those who decide to go to the community center are probably invested in not getting pregnant from the very beginning. This is probably your biggest problem with this study so far. So we've identified a big problem with internal validity. You know, like I said, if you don't got internal validity, you can't have external validity. So does this study have internal validity? Maybe not. And that's going to mean you really can't generalize this study to anybody else. So, what are other threats to external validity? Well, we've got the reactivity effects, the Hawthorne effect. Students know their pregnancy status is being monitored. Perhaps that's enough to keep them using their contraception or abstaining from sexual intercourse. Social desirability. The participants know that the researchers think teen motherhood is bad, but that probably isn't enough to keep them from getting pregnant. It may be enough to have them not disclose their pregnancies that result in abortions. So, you know, maybe they're not telling you they got pregnant. They went out and had an abortion. So that's threatening the results of your study. Measurement effects. You know, again, we're raising the awareness of pregnancy as a possibility. Novelty effects. Respondents know this empowerment program is new and maybe it's important. And experimenter effects. They may not like the person who comes to their homeroom to get the monthly information.